don't need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
All right, my first question comes from Tabitha. Tabitha writes in from Goshen, Arkansas, and she said, "Hey, it's me again." Tabitha was on our last episode as well. She writes, "I'm in the process of redesigning my home. My theme that I'm going for is modern boho, neutral palette, lots of texture, pops of color with a Moroccan flair. My husband gave me permission to redo the house with 2 stipulations. 1, we have wall-to-wall carpet and I cannot rip it out yet. He wants to do it, but in the fall. So in the meantime, is it okay to put a rug on a carpet? 2nd, we have a matching chair and a half and an oversized loveseat. I don't like them, but he does. He's dead set on keeping them. How can we not make them stick out like a sore thumb?" Okay, Tabitha, let's dig in. Now, again, you might be one of those people who sent multiple pictures because all I'm seeing is a picture of the armchair. And I agree, it does have a style all of its own that is not modern, nor is it really that boho. So we'll have to make it work. But first, let's go back. So my academy members, the people taking my interior design academy who want to become interior designers and run their own business, so they listen to the podcast, they tell me, and they pause it after the question and try and provide their own answer, using it as like a comprehension quiz to make sure that they're on the right page. And I love that idea. Maybe you guys are doing that too. If you find yourself doing that, you're probably a pretty good candidate. See, let me just take a drink of the coffee. Anytime I stumble over my word, I'm going to take a drink of the coffee because either I'm dehydrated in the sauna or I'm undercaffeinated, both concerning issues. So, getting back to it, if you paused after that question that I just read, perhaps you yourself want to be an interior designer, and you should definitely check out the academy, affordableinteriordesign.com/academy. Getting back to Tabitha's question, there was a red flag in there that all of you who are critically listening should have heard. She said that the theme for the room is modern boho. I love that that is 2 words, Tabitha, modern boho. But it is not a 2-word phrase, right? Both modern and boho are style words. So I want you to only take one of those 2 words for your style word, and I want you to come up with a feeling word. Because right now, if you're using 2 styles in the same room, they're going to conflict. And modern, if you're meaning it in the interior design definition way, refers back to a style in the mid 20th century that really isn't in play too much anymore. It's got a lot of white lacquer, severe lines, things like that. And based on your description, I don't think that's what you're going for. So when you're picking a style, I got to take my interior design hat off for a minute because my clients use these words all the time. They say, "Betsy, I'm modern," or "Betsy, I'm beachy," or "Betsy, I'm this or that," right? Eclectic, boho, whatever. And I don't take their style words literally because this is not what they do for a living. So you might be referring to modern, meaning contemporary, what's happening now, clean lines, right? Without too much ornamentation and keeping it light, airy, neutrals with pops of color. So you might be referring to contemporary. So I won't hold your feet to the fire because you misdefined something. Is it misdefined? I don't know. It is now. I won't hold your feet to the fire because you misdefined something. Rather, I'll redirect you and encourage you to get that feeling word and really use boho as your style word because that's where I'm really seeing your enthusiasm in your comment. All right, I will put a rug on top of wall-to-wall carpeting if the wall-to-wall carpeting is very low pile, if it is not plush. And when I'm looking at your picture here, it looks like you have standard plush wall-to-wall carpeting. When I'm talking low pile, I'm talking like a Berber. I'm talking a commercial grade carpeting that's like 0.25 inch pile height or less. And what I'm seeing here is closer to 0.5 inch pile height, really plush. And that means that that other rug that you choose to layer on top is not going to sit well because there's all those fibers. It's going to move around, it's going to bubble up, it's going to be hard to get it to stay in one place, and it's going to be a tripping hazard. So I only layer rugs in very unusual circumstances, and I make sure that the rug that I'm putting on top is anchored with something heavy. Maybe it's anchored with a sofa and a coffee table. Maybe it's anchored with a bed, but foundationally, it's on a very, very low pile rug. Now, even if it's anchored under something heavy, the edges are still going to be a tripping hazard. They're still going to bubble up. They're not always going to lay flat. If somebody shuffles their feet as they're walking by, they're going to cause the rug to move and shift. You could think about putting rug tape on the upper rugs to kind of adhere it to the lower carpeting. But the problem with that is it may wind up marring the carpeting in some way. So it's just not something I do very often. It's not something I recommend you do very often either. You know, fall is very soon. It's coming up fast. I'm so sad as I say that because summer is my absolute favorite month. But fall is coming up quickly. So I would just let it ride until fall when your husband will allow you to rip up that wall to wall carpeting. You mentioned your matching chair and a half and oversized love seat. So if he's dead set on keeping them, the one thing I'm not going to recommend is a slip cover. Slip covers are saggy, baggy, they're always ill-fitting. I mean, if you found a slip cover that specifically fit this set, in other words, not just a generic slip cover that you would buy online at Amazon, but one that was meant and sold through the furniture company where you bought these pieces, okay, then I might be okay with it because this very intense and busy paisley pattern, I'm sure is contributing to your dislike of the piece. As well, it appears to have sort of gatherings at the arm. It doesn't seem to be the style that you were describing in the earlier part of your question. I would instead, maybe layer this with like a throw blanket. I do think it's kind of compelling when designers put throw blankets that are very long, like over the back of the chair, then they bring it down the back and over the seat and tuck it in slightly where the seat meets the back. That could be an interesting look, right? You could put a pillow on this and put a throw blanket either on the arm or the back. The bottom line is sometimes when you're trying too hard to cover something up, it looks like you're covering something up. And it kind of draws attention to itself because people are wondering, what's under there? What's she got under that blanket? What's behind that pillow? So just integrating it in a casual, styled but not overly disguised way is the best way to handle this oversized chair and love seat, in my humble opinion, Tabitha. I hope your husband agrees. A big thank you to our amazing producer, Catherine Heller, to Aton and the MCR House Band, and to Affordable Interior Design, the sponsor of this podcast and the premier place to get an amazing look on a budget. Check out affordableinteriordesign.com. If you guys love the show, the very best way to support us is by spreading the word. Tell your friends or write us an awesome review on iTunes. So until next week, guys, thanks so much for joining us, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.